Yes. You know what time it is. This is the lightning round. I am your host, Charles Becco, y'all. Man, we finna get started. We finna get crunk up in here. Yes. The earnings are coming. The earnings are coming. Woo. All right, y'all. Hey. This is your host, Charles Becco, and I'm joined by Mrs. Megan Dorn. Megan, please introduce yourself to the crowd.
Good afternoon, everybody. I guess depending on where you're at. I am Megan. I am a certified financial planner, an enrolled agent, which means I can represent my clients in front of the IRS, and a member of the Brooklyn Traders. So I'm here to just chat earnings with y'all and get you excited for this week and see what strategies might be appropriate. And Charles, back to you.
All right. And so we're just getting the stream together, for the earnings here. And so we got quite a few names up for earnings this week. Some notable names here. Let me just kind of maximize this link for my old eyes. We've got Goldman Sachs. We got PNC, BNY Mellon tomorrow. We've got Bank of America, Fastenal, Bancorp, P&G, Alcoa, and United Airlines, and Morgan Stanley for Wednesday. So that's pretty packed there. We've got Netflix, American Airlines, Baker Hughes, Travelers, CSX, Key Bank, to name a few for Thursday. We've got Schlumberger, Ally, Huntington, and IHS Market for Friday. And we got some heavy hitters next week. I see Intel there, Boeing, Apple, McDonald's, Visa, Microsoft, IBM. So you could consider this week sort of the calm before the storm. Megan, could you actually tell the traders a little bit about what to do at this point in time of year as they prepare for their taxes? It's a little bit of a segue from what we came here to talk about, but I think it's actually vitally important for people who do make trades in the market to know something about what they should be doing at this point in time as it relates to their taxes and the stock market. Megan, mic's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now is the time that documents are starting to get issued. So W-2s, 1099s, things like that need to be out by January 31st. Remember not to file your taxes too soon if you have brokerage accounts that are going to issue 1099-Bs or consolidated statements. Those usually don't come out until late February or March. So you don't want to file without that, or you will be getting a lovely gram from the IRS. So things you want to look at is making sure when you're looking at the 1099 consolidated, and I'm mentioning this in particular because we're all traders. So if you're making trades within a retirement account, such as a 401k, Roth, IRA, SEP Simple, we don't have to worry about that. Those buys, sells, exchanges are not a taxable event within your retirement accounts. But if you have a non-retirement account, such as like an individual, or some people just call it a brokerage account, any buys, sales, or exchanges, not the buys, but the sales and the exchanges you do are a reportable event on the tax return. So you're going to want to make sure you grab those 1099s from all those little Robinhood, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, wherever you've got those monies that you did exchanges or sales, grab those 1099s and get those reported on the tax return. Make sure you look for wash sales, and make sure you double check your basis. So I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of what this means while Charles is getting some other stuff ready. But let's say that I buy something for $5,000. It grew to 10 and I sold it. I have a $5,000 tax. It's directly on the 1099. As a tax preparer, I see so many times that number is in error reported. And a couple of things. So let's say for whatever reason the broker reported that my basis was $3,000 and that my gain from 3 to 10 is then 7, but I know I paid 5 for it. I'm going to override that on the tax return And on the 8949 or the Schedule D where you're reporting that, there's a code B, to say basis is wrong. So you'll put in the incorrect number, a code B for basis is wrong, and then you'll put in the correct number to get the tax return correct. You will not go back to the broker and ask for a new 1099. They will laugh at you. So make sure that you're checking the basis so that your gains are correct, and then you want to print some kind of documentation to have in your file in case you're ever audited. So transaction history from the account, something like that. So be sure you're checking that. If you inherited any accounts at any time that are non-retirement accounts, that basis gets a step up. So this is where I see most of the errors is people inherit an account. So let's say somebody dies, I inherit a non-retirement account, they paid $10 for a stock, it's now worth 20, and I inherited at 21. A lot of times the broker will give you that carryover basis of $10, and the difference between 10 and 21 is obviously more than we want to pay taxes on. What should happen is when somebody dies, you get what's called a step up in basis, meaning the value at the time of death becomes my new basis. So the value of $20 a share becomes my new basis instead of 10, and then I sell it for the 21 for only $1 of taxable gain. So think about it, not in retirement accounts. We're excluding all retirement. Don't think SEP Simple IRA, 401k, Roth. Do not think those. Think brokerage, individual savings. If somebody dies, the tax consequences die with them under current law. Brokerage accounts are terrible at updating and correcting that information. So please be sure that you are aware of all the tax advantages that you can have. So now, again, it's the time to gather all of those documents. Again, these brokerage statements typically don't come out until late February, mid-March. So don't file until you have them. Check the basis, make sure it's correct. Make sure you're watching those wash sales. If you need to lower your income for whatever reason, if you're on marketplace health insurance and you need to get your income lower so that your subsidies can be higher or your penalty lower, you can contribute potentially to a traditional IRA to lower your income. If you need more deductions or credits and your income's a little too high, consider contributing to a traditional IRA if you can to get that income lower and qualify for more credits. Make sure you're looking at the daycare credit. Make sure that you are getting your charitable contributions, because this year, even if you do not use itemized deductions, you can still deduct up to $300 per taxpayer. So $300 for an individual return, $600 for married, filing, joint. So a lot of different changes this year. If you have a question, you can hit me up now while I'm on Clubhouse, but not later because I've got my babe with me tonight. So hit me up if you need to. Charles, back to you.
All right. Megan, you just dropped a couple bombs right there. As my man Nathan Charles used to say, you dropped a bunch of jewels. You dropped a bunch of gems. I don't know. You might want to pick a few gems back up off the floor. That was crazy. I definitely learned something there. I never knew some of that information. If I didn't know it, I know for sure some of the viewers and listeners here did not know it as well. So thank you so much for that, Megan. I've had trouble in the past with finding a good tax preparer, Megan, and so this is just again more out of the box questions here. None of this is planned to the audience, right? I'm really asking Megan, even for myself, to know, right? Megan, what will be your recommendation to find a good tax preparer, someone who should have a good working knowledge of the stock market? Because some folks, they just know how to put together taxes, but when it comes to all these different statements for brokers, what would be your recommendation, Megan?
So number one is you want to find, and nothing against big box, but it's kind of this churn and burn with tax preparers and big box firms. The training is quick and not super concise. So I would find somebody that's not a big box firm. I would also try to find somebody who's duly licensed. It is not super common because nobody really wants to go through the double education and double CE. So for example, I'm a certified financial planner, but I'm also an enrolled agent on the tax side. That means I know both laws inside and out, hopefully inside and out. finding somebody like that will really be your best friend when it comes to the tax situation, because they'll be able to look at the investment side of things and coordinate with the tax side of things for maximum tax efficiency, and be able to manipulate what I was saying, like, do you need to make a contribution for tax advantageous purposes, not just the tax credit, but also to get other credits. So find somebody who's duly licensed if you can. Find somebody that isn't a big box shop that's been doing it for, I would say, 8 years or longer. When I trained people, it seemed like the first 3 years was just data entry. At 5 years, they're starting to grasp it, and then beyond that is where they start to really understand tax law. So I would say find somebody that's been doing it 8+ years, find somebody that's duly licensed, and stay away from the big box shops unless they've been doing it for 10+ years. So that's my advice on finding somebody. And Charles, you know I could talk all night about this stuff. So.
Hey, I know this week was supposed to be on earnings, right? I know this week was supposed to be on earnings, but again, I was just wanted to take the time to educate the community with these different implications. And so again, I want to thank you there. I want to say a big shout out to some people I see in the crowd. I see Baina, JR, Jonathan, Kendall, the Miss Kathy Gray. I see my man Teef as well. So I just wanted to, thank and welcome some of these members of our community. Kendall, please introduce yourself. And also, Miss Kathy Gray, you're going to set the stage on fire. So it's almost no need for introduction.
Yeah, the Kathy Gray.
The Kathy
Glad
Gray.
To see you. The Kathy Gray.
Go ahead, Kendall.
Oh, man, thank you for allowing me to go before the Miss the Kathy Gray, because I know she's gonna light it up with her words of wisdom. Like Charles said, my name is Kendall. I've been trading and investing and learning for about 1.5 years now under Charles's tutelage with Brooklyn Traders. And, I've had some wins. I've had, more losses. But I minimize my losses while I learn and still try to catch up and get all this lingo and jargon for the stock market. I mean, it's so much to learn, and right now I'm actually, reading charting and technical analysis because, education is key. I really want to build something here and leave a legacy for my children so that they can pass it on, each one teach one. And we just keep this train going. So I'm here to learn. I'm here to help any way that I can. And I wish everybody just unlimited success in these markets. Trade safely.
Thank you, Kendall. And Miss the Kathy Gray, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hey, everybody, listen. I am known as the Kathy Gray, the motivator. I want to share something with you guys. I've been with Becco for a year, and let me tell you, I'm very slow. I don't get it half of the time, but because of what he has on his channels that I can go back and look, I got a lot of bags, quite a few bags. Unfortunately, some information I cannot share, but Becco knows that I got a huge engagement. And let me tell you something. When you be kind to people, they will be kind to you. Becco was kind to me. And that's what I want you guys to realize. If you're kind, kind will come back. You will win. And if you do not have this course, let me tell you, you guys are losing. I can share that I lost $14,000, I think from February to March. Becco heard what happened to me. Got into his class. I'm a night sleeper, which means I come in and I look later and I learn. And I won my money back within a month. It's worth it. And I have to say, Becco, if they are not in your class, listen, you guys are missing it because I know nothing about it. Now let me do what I love to do best. I am known as the Kathy Gray. I'm a motivator. I'm a pusher. Let me tell you something. You have to start out on 100. Every morning you wake up. So tonight when you go to sleep, remind yourself, look in the mirror. I am going to be successful, number one. Number two, I am definitely going to get the bag. Number three, I failed at something yesterday, but I'm going to master that thing tomorrow. You know why? Because I was created to win. I was created to be first. I was created to send down the ladder of success, which means when I go up, I'm going to reach down and pull you up too. Guess what, everybody? I'm known as the Kathy Gray. As I always say, if no one told you today they love you, guess what? I love you, and trust me, I really do mean it. Be blessed, stay faithful, and enroll in that class. Love you guys.
Man, I appreciate the love, everybody. Man, and I'm just letting y'all know that, like, these folks is coming up saying whatever they want. I wanted to congratulate Miss Kathy Gray from becoming a moderator on the pre-market movers, and that was quite the accomplishment too, because it's actually a very, very small and a tight circle that's been able to grace that stage. And so Kathy, Kathy Gray, she's earned it. She's been a stellar member of this community, and I just wanted to thank you openly, Miss Kathy Gray. Thank you so much for your motivation in the morning. Thank you for your positivity. It's very much welcome, and I do appreciate that as well. Kendall, I wanted to thank you as well. And I see we got some guests up on the stage. And so, Megan, can you give us a quick reset about earnings, the earnings that we're looking for this week? And for the guests on the stage, I would like to hear from you, Celeste and JR, about what earnings you will be looking forward to this week or next week. But Megan, please give us a reset, and we'll get on with the other half of the show. Go ahead, Megan.
Absolutely. So you are listening to the Day Trade and Degens room tonight. If you are not a member already, go ahead and click the greenhouse at the very top and hit follow so you can check us out whenever we come on. It is one of the biggest rooms on all of Clubhouse, so join us and be a part of this movement. Tonight we are talking about earnings. I think that Charles has the link pinned up here for earnings, so you can follow on the YouTube. Things that we're looking at this week are going to be banks, airlines. Another big one will be Netflix. Some really big boys this week. Maybe if you're lucky, Charles will give you, or I can, a strategy on how to play earnings. I would just say, as a caution, earnings can go either direction regardless of what the earnings do. So earnings can beat and the stock can go up or down. Earnings can not beat, can go under, and the stock can still go up or down. So please be careful with earnings. There are times that people make a ton of money or lose a ton of money. So make sure you know the different strategies that you could potentially win either way. So Charles, back to you.
All right. Thank you so very much. So I do want to just talk very briefly about just quickly Goldman Sachs here. Goldman Sachs is coming into earnings. If you could look on the screen, and everybody click on the link just above our heads there, earnings this week, to get into the YouTube so you can see what's going on. We are also multi-stream via Facebook, and also Twitch and also Clubhouse as well. And so definitely tap in. I think we're like 3 or 4 or 5 subscribers away from being at 450 subscribers on the YouTube page, right? And so team, click on the link up there, and if you have not already, please subscribe to @BrooklynTraders for the YouTube, and also @BrooklynTraders on all platforms, right? So let's get on to the sauce. We'll talk about Goldman Sachs for a second, then we'll get on to Celeste and my man JR. And but yeah, right now, if you look at Goldman Sachs from a technical point of view, it's sitting just under its daily 200, which is actually quite surprising, right? I wouldn't say it's quite a fall from grace, you know. If you look at the weekly chart here, I mean, Goldman Sachs broke out of the weekly channel here from 274 all the way up to over $400, right? And so it makes sense that this thing is kind of cooling off here just a bit. We do have some short signals on the shorter term time frames, right? But let's see, you know, we already got the pullback into earnings, and typically when you do get the pullback into earnings, you could expect some kind of bounce, right? And so we'll go over some of the more notable earnings from the chart, but we will also do some breakdowns of tickers as well. As always, we're just taking 5 tickers tonight. I got 2 already from the crowd that just yeah, they didn't even wait. But we'll take 3 more tickers from the crowd, and then you know, we'll break those down. But you know, right now Goldman Sachs here, It's hard to tell. We had J.P. Morgan that reduced their guidance for this year, and so that actually caused some of the bank names to fall on Friday, and so we got to see how Goldman Sachs will shake up, right? And I do remember that Wells Fargo did report positively and it reacted positively, right? So let's see how Goldman Sachs will shake out, right? So that's Goldman Sachs. Let's take a look at PNC. One second. PNC Bank. Let's take a look at these guys. Yeah, PNC here looks very good. Basically, let me see. I wonder if this is multi-year highs here. Yeah, this is a 10-year chart. This looks like an all-time high on PNC Bank here. And so typically, right, when you see things kind of run up into earnings, whether the earnings are good or positive, usually things tend to cool off at earnings, right? And so for me, if I was into PNC Bank and I was holding on to a position, it may be time to kind of like, start peeling back before establishing a position, right? It'll be nice to get a nice pullback to the 21, which is just above $210. But before we continue anymore with any further analyses, Celeste, welcome to the stage. Celeste, what earnings are you looking forward to this week or next week? Celeste, mic's on you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to come up to the stage and to talk to you a little bit about what I'm looking at. And also, I just wanted to see if I could ask Megan a question on something you were just mentioning. I'd like to see, actually, I'm watching BMO. So I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say and teaching us about what to look for as far as, when to buy, when to sell, and what we should be doing with earnings. I was looking at earnings whispers today, and so I'm really excited to see this class. I didn't recognize this class on the calendar, so I'm really happy that it's here today. I was going to just ask if Megan, I don't know if this is the right point or later, could just mention what people would do if they've experienced losses, for their taxes. They've probably going to be looking at the 1040 form, and they still would have to complete the qualified dividends and capital gains tax worksheets, I think, even if they do have losses. That was kind of like the simple question on that. And thanks.
Yeah, so I'll grab that question real quick. So even if you have losses, you still have to complete your full 1040. You're going to report wages, you're going to put your dividends, whether they're qualifying or not, your interest, any other income that you have, jury duty, distributions from retirement, pensions, Social Security, any income that you have still needs to be reported, even if you have losses. Because remember that those losses first will eat up any other gains. And if you still have losses, you can take up to $3,000 on the federal return, and it's different per state on what you can take elsewhere. Here in Wisconsin, you can only use an additional $500. So on federal, you can use up all of your gains and then $3,000 to offset other income. And you still need to file a tax return because, one, you want to carry forward any unused losses, but two, you still have to file that return to report all of the income. So yes, you still have to file as normal and report those losses and then carry forward any losses that haven't been used. Charles, did you want to talk to her question? Yes. Did you want to talk to her about the charts or how she's playing? Was it BMO that you wanted to place, Les?
Yes.
Is it BMO, Bravo, Mike, Oscar?
I think it's, wouldn't it be FB Financial Corporation, actually, is what I'm looking at. FBK?
S is in Sam?
F is in Frank. B is in boy. K is in king.
FBK. Okay. Give me a second. Let me take a look at that. Sorry, I thought it was BMO. So it's Frank, Bravo.
While Charles is bringing that up, there was another text question from the audience, and I'm not going to type it all out because I don't have that kind of patience. So it was regarding an HSA. What are the limitations regarding an HSA? I am just retiring at 61. Does it have to be spent for Medicare? No, it does not. Keep in mind that the HSA can only be spent on health things, so co-pays, prescriptions, glasses, contacts, any of that good stuff. I wouldn't use it for medical insurance premiums, such as Medicare, because that could be a deduction on the federal return and potentially the state return, depending on where you live. So I would rather use it for things that we typically don't get a deduction for, like copays and such. But no, it doesn't have to be spent by the time that you're 65. That just lasts until it's there. And if you die with money in an HSA, it will go to the heirs, which also have to use it for health purposes. So don't overfund. Hope that helps.
All right, team. Again, more gems being dropped here by our resident tax professional, Megan. All right, so be sure to give her a follow and be sure to pray for her and give her love and light. Again, we appreciate the audience here. My man, JR, what? My bad. I forgot to do the analysis, right? And so I've got FBK on the screen here. It looks like a classic cup and handle on the daily time frame. You also see kind of a cup and handle on the weekly time frame. And so
say the weekly looks good.
Yep. And so I would want to see this stock get above and hold above 48 with some volume here. But this chart, the ball is absolutely in the bull's court, right? So for me, I'd like to see the follow through on this cup and handle on the daily and the weekly time frame with a close firstly above 48 and then above 49 to, I'm not too sure, this is 10-year chart. Hopefully this will be, let me see. I can't say this all-time highs, right? Because let me just stretch it back to max available. Yeah, let's see it get above all-time highs here on FBK. But it looks good. The ball's in the Bulls' court there, Celeste. So let's see it. All right. My man JR, what earnings are you looking forward to this week? JR, the mic's on you.
Hey, how you doing, Charles? And just wanted to give a big shout out to Kathy. Listening to her motivation words definitely always light up my day, and it gets me very excited. So, just wanted to definitely also a big shout out to Kathy. And definitely everybody here, Megan, with all that info in the beginning, and of course Charles, they don't call you the chart master Charles for nothing, right? Just wanted to give you guys a big shout out, and I guess watching for earnings, definitely just paying attention to what Goldman Sachs has to say, and sort of pick up their sentiment into the coming earnings, because they were the ones that were very bullish last year, calling that those 740 pricing for the SPY, and the JP Morgan was more of the bear, so who won there. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of sentiment they come with if they join JP Morgan sentiment, because they were calling last year, the SPY dropping to 400, while it was still, at the 450s, 460s mark. So it'd be interesting to see what they have, and then besides those two, trying to just keep an eye on Netflix, since you already did Goldman Sachs. What you think about Netflix, Charles?
Man, Netflix is like a very pretty girl that you really want to love, but she just always so elusive. Man, just look at Netflix's chart here, and it's not to say that the love of your life is a disappointment, right? But I guess the chart would be like your performance at wooing that lovely lady. I mean, just break out of the channel and then right back into the channel, right? Just disappoints you, Normally when I see a chart like this where it's just, literally from 700 all the way to 525 straight down, I actually tend to want to be a little bit more bullish and more aggressive coming into earnings, right? And so, not financial advice. Assume anything you hear here will get clapped. Just a little gem out the bag. A nice vertical to one of the SMAs above there would probably be something that I would typically want to do into earnings, just giving how aggressively the chart has been sold off since early November. And so, again, not financial advice. Assuming everything you hear here will get you clapped. Okay, but again, when I see a chart like that looks like this, just heavy selling, unrelentless into earnings. Whether the earnings are good and bad, you usually get some kind of after earnings pop, So, just my feeling, okay, gut feeling. I remember in grad school and speaking with one of the top traders in the world, Donald Crooks, who was the head of the MBA department at Wagner College. And, he said sometimes you just got a gut feeling about something, right? And so, again, just a feeling that I have. I would like to see where the fundamentals lay up. I'd like to see where fair value is for Netflix. I'm sure Netflix is probably way over fair value, but, tech names operate at a considerable multiple, right? So, just with a chart like this, my inkling, right, without looking at anything else, just looking at the chart, is that, hey, we should get some kind of retracement for a retracement to the mean, and what better time than for an upwards surprise on earnings, right? Netflix did have that news on Friday where they said they're going to charge a little bit more for, and don't get me wrong, I think for overseas subscribers, I believe it was Canada. I don't quite remember. It was late in the day. I don't remember what the press release was. I do remember that they're saying that they were going to raise rates on, I believe it was overseas, and I believe the country was Canada, but I may be wrong there. Okay, so if I'm wrong, just message me in the back end. Don't come on the stage and say, hey, Charles, you messed up on this one little this one little thing out of thousands of data points that I go through every single day. I'm human. Let me live for a little bit. But yeah, that's Netflix. I'm angled. I would be angled bullish here. Okay, for a retracement, probably maybe back to definitely over 540 and back to 560, which is where the 200 is. Areas like that is where I would target. On Netflix. All right, JR. So hopefully it helps, man. Also, big shout out to JR here. JR is the guy who designed all of these wonderful thumbnails for all of us, right? Not just myself, but for many of the pre-market movers. So JR, again, I just want to openly thank you for doing that. It's lovely. If you notice, JR, I have not taken it off, right? So it's almost as if a man made you a fine suit and you wore that suit every single day. I used to change my thumbnail here for Clubhouse, and JR, I'm letting you know on stage publicly, I have not taken this finely tailored suit that you've made for me. Thank you so much, JR. I appreciate it.
It looks good on you, Charles. It looks good on you, and that, I gotta say, man, it's more that face in that thumbnail that makes the magic happen.
All right, I love it, man. It's excellent. So thank you so very much, Sean, Big Sean. What are you looking for towards earnings, my man? What do you think? What do you like?
Charles, what's good, brother? Appreciate the invite. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. We'll see what BAC has for forward guidance. We've seen JP Morgan. They said that they're thinking, their CEO said 6 to 7 interest rate hikes this year, which is a little aggressive to me. So I want to see what BAC is having for their forward guidance and what they think the interest rate hikes are going to be. Morgan Stanley saying, looking at what PG does, looking to get a little defensive this year. So looking to see what they do. And I'm looking at State Street, SGT, to see what their guidance is looking like for this year. I appreciate you having me up, brother.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Sean. For me, Bank of America is probably going to be one of my top picks this year. I like where it is. I like the valuation, of Bank of America here. I'm thinking about buying the dip. I could see some real volume come into this. Sorry about that. Had a phone call. Yeah, I would prefer to kind of buy the dip in Bank of America here. I like this into earnings, and I'm looking for an upside surprise. I'm expecting some rate hikes, so I'm liking banks. Oh, Procter & Gamble. Don't want to. Let me see. Yeah, Procter & Gamble. It's been one of our, call-outs here at Brooklyn Traders. It was one of our swing alerts, and it's been performing pretty well, and so. Procter & Gamble is another name that I'm looking to buy the dip in. I like it. If we could actually get a nice pullback in the market, even deeper than where we've been. If we could get down to 150, a buck 50 on Procter and Gamble, if we could retest that breakout, the breakout from the channel here, closer to the weekly 21, that would be a fantastic dip buy in Procter and Gamble. Again, another name I'm looking for in a higher inflation rate environment. And so Procter and Gamble, I really like it. Megan, could you give us another reset before we get to the rest of the show?
Yep, I can. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages on the back end. Just as a reminder, I'm not accepting new clients. I don't take phone calls or anything like that. I'm just here to kind of help out Brooklyn traders because they are my family and have my heart. So if you have questions, please stay on and get them answered here or jump on. But no, I don't take new clients and I don't take phone calls outside of Clubhouse regarding tax stuff. Reset, yes. So we're talking earnings, we're talking tax strategies. Sorry, my little one is hungry. Talking tax strategies and earnings. We've got banks and airlines and Netflix coming up this week, all of which is exciting. I know some of you are asking Charles about different things. So one thing I will say is that Charles can talk to you about what the charts look like today. The thing with earnings and what is exciting about them is it can go any direction regardless of what the chart says. So that's just something to be conscious of, is that we can say, well, the chart looks like this or the sentiment is this. But the chart can go the opposite direction of what we're thinking. So make sure you're looking at special strategies to kind of hedge and take some of the risk off. And if you're not willing to do that and you're just going to go all long or all short, be prepared to lose it all. Don't put in more than you can afford to lose. If you don't know what strategies I'm talking about, feel free to join Brooklyn Traders at brooklyntraders.net, where you can watch all of our recorded videos, and there are earning strategies in there to look at. Charles, back to you.
Man, Megan, you handle that so well, Megan. Thank you so very much. I don't think we need to do any more research today, but I'll absolutely take care of any if we need them. And Megan, thank you so very much. Megan does it all. Financial planner, tax preparer.
Baby on my hip.
Baby on the hip. Baby on the hip, gun on the other hip. I'm just playing around.
Darn right. Well, it's more bow and arrow on one.
Bow and arrow, right?
On the other. Yeah.
Megan, yeah, you hunt. I remember you hunt, right? Like, how was because I remember one time we did a show. You were in a ghillie suit up in the mountains. How did that go, by the way?
Okay, so I think I only sent that picture to you. But yes, I was all decked out in a deer stand doing the show from a tree stand. We did get 6 deer in the freezer. Something about our family is just we kind of are thankful that if God gave it to us, that's kind of how we eat. So instead of McDonald's and all the processed food, we're looking for the garden food, the fruits, the vegetables, the lean meats. If God made it, we eat it. So that's kind of how we live our philosophy. My son got us 2 deer this year. He's 10. Super excited about that he could provide to our family as well this year. So, yeah, just a little bit crazy over on this side.
Hey, we appreciate it. And let me tell you something. People really don't understand, like, especially in certain places, the deer populations could get really crazy. If anybody's out there, you like pets and animals and things like that, it is necessary to kind of glean the flocks and herds, right? Because, if you've ever been in a place that's, like, overrun with deer, it could really get kind of crazy. So thanks for doing your part in the environment. I'm absolutely sure you had all your permits and everything like that to do all that. And
of course.
Yep. And I personally, I love venison, so bring it on. If you're ever in Brooklyn, bring on some venison. I'd love to try some.
I'll have to ship you some venison jerky. It's the best.
Hey, and it's actually better meat. No process. They're all grown out there in the wild, eating grass.
Right, and
go ahead.
It's very lean. There's very little fat on venison, so it's going to be healthier for you than like beef. And yes, there's no hormones, no chemicals. It's all lean, healthy meat. So.
Hey, Megan, this is Kathy. I lived in Idaho Falls, so let me send you my address So you can send me some of that jerky. So yes, I'm very
My husband's gonna be busy. He's gonna be busy man. Making more jerky.
Oh, all right, y'all. I appreciate it. Mind, body, and spirit here at the Day Trading Degens via Brooklyn Traders. So we really appreciate it, right? All right. So let's go over some names. So we did actually hammer a couple of them already. Okay, we did a lot of banks already, right? So let's go to something else, right? Let's look at United Airlines, right? And then let's also look at Alcoa, right? Alcoa. We have Alcoa's AA. So again, materials, right? We like it for 2022 in a higher inflation environment, and so the chart's looking really good, looking amazing here. I can't believe that. Could you imagine that at the depths of the pandemic, this name was $5. This big blue chip company was $5 at the depths of the pandemic, and it is now $64 on Alcoa, right? Oh man, just an incredible move here, and I'm expecting Alcoa to go much higher. But again, not financial advice. We can't anticipate how earnings will play out, but I'll tell you what. If for some reason there's a big hiccup with earnings and we come down to the daily 50, I would love that for a dip buy. Okay, so I hope they kind of mess up the landing of the plane, or their what did Lawrence say? Lawrence from Black Wall Street Originals calls it podium performance. I hope they screw up their podium performance on their earnings for Alcoa, which is Wednesday, and we get a nice little dip buy here to $53. So that is Alcoa. Let's look next at. Oh, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, I know we're trying to keep it short, but I've been in Costa Rica and I missed you, so I've just got to talk. So another thing when you mentioned that is sometimes to keep in mind, if earnings don't go the way that you anticipated, let's say that we get a big pullback, that may just be an opportunity to buy, because what Lawrence says, sometimes it is podium performance, and so if they have earnings, they just didn't perform on the podium, and that's an opportunity to dip buy. The other thing to remember is make sure that you differentiate your long-term investments from your short-term investments, meaning that the stock you were just mentioning that was $5 in the COVID pandemic, that would have been a great one to throw long-term into your IRA or your Roth, something like that. And then your option trades in your brokerage account or your Roth if you're really killing it. So again, make sure that you're trading in the appropriate account based on tax status, and that you're differentiating your long-term from your short-term plays.
All right. Again, Megan, thank you so much for that heat. Definitely be sure. And team, just know, right? Typically with Brooklyn Traders, unless we say so, we are typically talking about a shorter term time horizon rather than a longer term time horizon. And so again, just be aware and cognizant of that when we come on stage and we speak. We're not always talking long term. If I'm talking about Uber, which is my baby, we're talking longer term. If we're talking about Tilray, which is another pick of mine, we're talking longer term. We're not talking about what's going to happen in a short term basis, right? But normally we're talking short term, right? I've got United Airlines here. We're holding above the daily 50 here, and I'm thinking, earnings are hit and miss, right? It's up and down, so I have no idea what's going to happen, but I would like to see it close above $50 here on United Airlines. It's been very, very choppy back and forth. It's still stuck in a very sloppy range between 55 and 40, and so overall, I'd like to see it break out of the range. But again, if history is any indicator of what may happen, right? I would expect maybe that we just kind of further chop into the range, but you never know. We do have some instances of some big pops and big drops in earnings on UAL. Okay, so watch out for that. So that's United Airlines. let's look at CSX next, which is a give me a second, a rail company. They I do believe that CSX transports material back and forth. I believe that's what they do. Let me just double check. I believe that's
While
what
Charles
CSX
is
does.
checking that, for all of you, go to the YouTube right now. There's a link above my head, and make sure you subscribe. You come here for all the gems, all the jewels, and Charles throws it down all week long. We only need like 5 more subscribers to get to this great number. I think it was 450. So please go ahead tonight, right now, go to the YouTube, hit subscribe so that we know that you're listening to us right now, and it is worth our time. We are not paid to be here for you. We are doing it out of love and kindness and giving it forward. So please go to the YouTube tonight and subscribe so we can hit that awesome number. Charles, back to you.
All right. Oh, all right. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. So yeah, so CSX, it is a rail operator of freight, right? And so it's actually one of the largest shipping companies of, well, I should say not really shipping as a ship, right? But they use the trains to transport freight across the country, and that's what I thought they did, right? I just wanted to just double check and make sure. And so again, no real history of what earnings may do. You know, you could have a huge pop, you could have a huge drop. Right now, CSX, again, another one of those companies that I will be having my eye on. I'd like to see CSX hold above the daily 50 here, which is at it's at $36. So I would like for it to kind of hold above that, and so that is CSX coming out on Thursday with Netflix. Let's look at our last one for the night, which is going to be American Airlines. Okay. Again, you know, American is a very, very sloppy chart. I do see that the underlying maybe wants to wake up a little bit, but we need to see the follow through on the price action for American Airlines. If we do get a pop, I'd like to see us retest 20 and potentially 21. If you do get a drop, however, look at 18 and possibly 17.52 to be your support levels on American Airlines. Let me take one more from the audience here. I have TTD from Noonie. So Noonie, thank you so very much for that. Let me get to TTD. Okay. Give me 1 second here, team. Let me just take a quick look at this one. Okay. I have Okay. As I'm looking at TTD here, which is Trade Desk, again, hanging out under its 200, right? So, again, not very bullish chart, but again, you know, not a very bullish chart. I don't know if this person wanted me to talk about it as it referenced the earnings. I don't know if, again, sorry about that. I don't know if we want to have a conversation as it relates to the earnings, but yeah, this chart has been sold off. I would expect to get some kind of oversold bounce at some point. The only issue is that on the weekly time frame is where the actual damage is, right? I'm getting an algorithm, and I don't really use the algorithm too much, but it's signaling to the downside on the weekly time frame, and we got a fresh MACD cross on the weekly time frame on the Trade Desk. And so if you were kind of holding this thing and you were kind of hoping and praying, just be very careful on the Trade Desk, right? We do have some other tickers here. I'm looking at the YouTube. I see Beyond, XP, and AMAT. So let's take those as well. Let me just kind of go through them. Beyond here. So here's the crazy thing, right? I think I like Beyond Food, right? So I'm a little bit biased. I do like the way Beyond tastes, the Beyond meat. I do know that Beyond came out with a new chicken offering that they will be sharing at KFC. Okay, and so I am looking for this chart to hopefully reverse. But to really fulfill my bullish outlook on Beyond, right, I really would like to see the stock hold above 73. If not, we may see a retest of 60 on Beyond. Okay, that's Beyond. Let's look at XP and then AMAT. XP here. Again, another chart that's kind of been sold off. I really don't like the longer term chart, but it's kind of breaking. It kind of broke support here. You can see a trend line that was kind of formed here that went straight up all the way to about 34, and that recently broke. And so the chart is being broken down on multiple time frames. You could expect some kind of oversold bounce at some point. But yeah, this chart just looks ugly. I mean, we had a buy set up here, and this thing's barely holding on by a thread here on this the turnaround. At least the turnaround story is kind of holding on by a thread here, and so I'd really like to see XP above 30 and hold that. And you really want to see this MACD cross on the daily time frame, right? And so I don't know what it's going to take to get that. I do see some things turning around in the shorter term time frame, but the Bulls got to wake up. You know, the ball is in their court, and if they're not able to get above 30 and 32, expect this thing to get pushed back down below 27. Again, the reason why no crystal balls here. We can't predict the future. What needs to happen is the price needs to wake up. The Bulls need to wake up. We need to have more participants, right? And so you have to kind of like approach like your game plan and strategy with the stock market with things that are more likely to happen and less likely to happen, right? Brett Steenberger said that you should have, before you get into a position, right, you should have a plan for what you're going to do in case things don't go the way that you plan for it to, right? So, think about Murphy's Law. What is the worst case scenario? How am I going to react to an emergent situation that is going to be disastrous to my position, to my portfolio, right? And then plan your trade around a potential problem, okay? And that's a nice way to look at that, all right? So, XP, okay, I see some glimmers of hope, but again, this thing really needs to wake up. Let's look at AMAT here. Okay, so who was it? I think it was Celeste on stage when you brought up FBK before, and we were looking to say, hey, you know what? This looks like a good cup and handle potentially. If you look at AMAT, AMAT, Applied Materials, this is exactly the chart that we want to see from FBK, right? You had a breakout above the range, right? Not exactly, it's kind of crazy. We had a clear breakout of the range above 146, right? And we had multiple retests of the breakout line at 146 around 145. Multiple retests that formed a couple cup and handles, and we got a perfect, big volume breakout here on AMAT. And so, yeah, this looks good, and I expect AMAT to go continually higher. This looks very good on AMAT. Before we wrap up the show here, does any one of the moderators or any of the guests have anything left to say before we tap out here? Anybody?
I have to say, I'm glad to be back in the country and be here with you all, and I'm excited. I look forward to our future shows.
Kathy, anything there? Kathy may be busy on the back end. I know Kathy has lots of things going on.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to get to the screen. What did you say?
We're about to wrap up the show. Any last words before we part ways for the night?
Yeah, I want to remind everybody, life is what it is. So when you wake up in the morning, remind yourself whatever you did yesterday does count for tomorrow. And today is very important. Be kind to people, because I do believe what you put out will come back. Stay kind, love everybody, look in the mirror before you go to bed and say, look, I am amazing. I am wonderful. I am successful, and I'm going to get that bag again. But at the end of the day, I'm going to love myself. Remember, I'm B. Kathy Gray. As I always say, if no one told you the day they love you, I'm the person to say I love you, and I really do mean it. I appreciate you guys, Charles. Megan, don't forget, send me my jerky.
All right, Kathy.
All right. In my Matthew McConaughey accent there. Team, really appreciate it. Want to thank everybody. God bless. Again, subscribe to the YouTube. Hopefully you guys are doing that on there. Bring us above 450. That will be fantastic. And we will see you again on Wednesday. All right? Take care. God bless everybody.
Retro.